Hey friends. Yesterday, as I was going through my day, it was my first day of kind of relaxed time with nothing really scheduled as far as family events and whatnot, and so I had a chance to just sort of decompress. And I noticed, I identified in myself a kind of, tiredness or fatigue. And it was an interesting recognition because I felt something, I've heard, I forget where I read this or heard this, but it was someone who was talking about the energy of our activities and what kind of, energies that feed us, or activities that feed us energy, activities that cost us energy. And basically what this study or this, researcher, I forget what kind of, what level of like scientific research we're talking about here, but what this person was basically saying is activities that involve visiting family, other than the immediate nuclear family that we find ourselves in, cost us energy. Now, that doesn't mean that that's not energy well invested, because all kinds of energy comes back at us through these interactions as well. But I clocked that as part of my awareness. It was kind of clocking that. And then what I felt immediately was, I require spiritual rest. And I used to have a meditation teacher who talked about meditation as spiritual rest. He would say that sleep gives the body and the mind rest, but spiritual rest doesn't necessarily happen in sleep. Spiritual rest has to be a conscious activity. And so meditation, it provides that. And I've kind of felt this sense in myself that I was like, I want to be more fed. I need to be more nourished. But it's not gonna come from my external circumstances. It's not supposed to come from my family or from my interactions or from the circumstance. It's not going to come from the outside. It's not going to come from the world. It's going to come from connecting with my essence. And so I kind of was able to identify that yesterday, and then this morning I made sure that I got up a little earlier than I might have, and so that I could do my regular kind of yoga routine and then have a whole hour to meditate. So I took an entire hour and meditated, which is not a ton, but it's more than I've been taking recently. And really kind of had a chance to just watch stuff come up and let it go, and watch stuff come up and let it go. And there's just something very deeply nourishing and grounding. It's kind of like when I think back to my younger self, and the activity that I had up here in Michigan, and the kind of freedom that I had, and the sort of sense of this place is all about fun, it's all about joy. There was part of the liberation was that there was nothing hanging over me. It was like there was no I was the kid. I was the young person. I had parents. I had a lovely family. Stuff was taken care of. So now to be here in a different role, and obviously it's not the first time, but we've been here now a couple of years with a child, and as the child gets older, she kind of her needs are growing. She needs more and more engagement. It's because she's ready for it. She's thirsty for it. And I feel myself longing for the simple joy of being here. And I thought to myself, on one level, it's like I could lament that that's not my circumstance anymore, but that seems silly because my circumstance is something else equally beautiful. But then I recognized, it's spiritual rest. It's that sense, because that meditation does the same thing that having good parents can do, which is take the surrounding membrane of survival stress and mitigate it, dilute it, dissolve it, help it be a gentle force rather than a kind of like tension-inducing, anxiety-inducing container. And so meditation was, I was like, it's meditation. The only thing I'm craving is meditation. It might seem like I'm craving this feeling or that activity or this blah, blah, whatever. I can associate that past joy that I felt with things I've done in the past, or people, or types of activities, or, but none of those things are actually the thing. Actually, the thing is my own, where I am in my heart. That's the thing that was there when I was younger, and it's something that can still be accessed. It can still be accessed. And so then I started my meditation, and I took Madeline's advice of reflecting on something sad. And in the same vein, sort of coincidentally, I guess, because it wasn't a conscious choice, but I started reflecting on the times that I've had here and how those times are over. I remember summers and friendships and just youthful rambunctiousness, youthful goals, youthful aspirations, things like wakeboarding drawing me onwards as these powerful motivators in my life. And we outgrow these things, right? These things don't remain our motivators as we age, because we expand, we change, we need other things. Our needs change, our capacities change, everything kind of, the level, we go up a level, ideally, anyway. But there's a kind of sense of yearning, in a way, for that simplicity. It's a yearning for the simplicity of that joy. It's very palpable, and it can be very powerful. And so it's, for whatever reason, that's where I didn't even do this on purpose, but that's where my mind kind of landed as I was reflecting on something sad. And immediately I was struck by something, which was my first year at the theater school where I ultimately met my wife. When I decided to go, it was early on. It was in the first, because I had ended up humming and hawing and kind of being indecisive about whether this program was something I wanted to do, and I had some other commitments, and I just wasn't sure where I was headed, and kind of I came in and out a little bit. But then when I finally plunged in feet first, I actually said, okay, here we go, I'm doing this, I'm committed to the program, I found myself in class one day, and I had a word that just popped into my mind, and the word was enfolding. And the meaning at the time that sort of flashed for me was that this process that I was going through in that training was teaching me to enfold life and to really approach life as a process of enfolding evolution. Not unfolding, which is also happening, but enfolding. And that word came back to me today. It's come back to me a number of times over the years, but it came back to me today as I was thinking about, kind of like having this feeling of yearning and this feeling of sadness about past times. And I sort of had this flash where I recognized that these past times are not gone. They can't be gone. What has happened to them, that joy, has been enfolded in me. It's in me. I still carry it. My memory carries it. My body carries it. My mind, my emotions, my heart. I carry those experiences. And that's why, and that's, I think it's one of the reasons why Trungpa Rinpoche talks about how when we're living a conscious life, our heart, there's a kind of natural heartbreak or a natural, just like a spark of sadness in our heart, which is, of course, also kind of the core of the exercise of reflecting on something sad, is to put us in touch with that. But man, it really worked, and it really kind of gave me this appreciation for the fact that nothing's ever gone. Yes, impermanence dissolves all experience, but the joy, it's like more and more, it's like my experiences are being refined through the process of life and through the process of consciousness. My experiences are being refined and turned into or enfolded into the ultimate thing that I was in contact with back then when I was young, which is the joy of being. The joy of being was so vivid when I was younger. And it's still there. And our job as we get older is to maintain access to that and to keep clearing the clutter, because as we get older, the other thing we do is we stack experience. And stacked experience, if we're not cleaning it out, if we're not using meditation or some form of connecting with the essence to let go of that accumulated experience, accumulated memory, as Sadhguru would call it, then we're becoming emburdened by it. And we don't want that. Then our life starts to feel heavy. It starts to feel like we're carrying so much. We're not actually carrying that much. In reality, we're carrying it in our memory. And so it's just another reminder. Oh yeah, this meditation. Let's not go looking outside to see if we can recapture that joy somewhere out there and do another activity. Maybe stay up late drinking like I used to when I was a kid, trying to recapture that feeling. What if I just connect with my actual core and let some of the weight go, and see what happens to my sense of joy, my sense of freedom. Just let my energy play. That's what showed up today. Thanks for watching, folks. Much love. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.